First Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 3. For when they shall say, Peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Also, thou son of man, thus saith the Lord Yahweh unto the land of Israel, the end is come upon the four corners of the land. Now is the end come upon thee, and I will send mine anger upon thee, and will judge thee according to thy ways, and will recompense upon thee all thine abominations. And mine eyes shall not spare thee, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense thy ways upon thee, and thine abominations shall be in the midst of thee. And ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, and evil, and only evil, behold, is come. An end is come, the end is come. It watcheth for thee, behold, it is come. Verse 25. Destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none. Mischief shall be upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor. Then shall they seek a vision of the prophet, but the law shall perish from the priest, and counsel from the ancients. Again mischief shall come upon mischief, and rumor shall be upon rumor. Then shall they seek a vision of the prophet, but the law shall perish from the priest, and counsel from the ancients. Shalom. I want to give all praises, blessings, glories, and honors unto Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Racha Kodash. Double honors to my elder apostles and bishop elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth, as well as men of like mind. Shalom wa chasad, which means peace and mercy to the elect of the nation of Israel, Homo Yisoko and Negros, Latinos, Native American Indians, and Israelite foreigners of the seed of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom is scattered here in America, which is Babylon the Great, and abroad. To you I say Shalom and Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. Ratazah, this lesson is edifying. Spirit told me to do this lesson now, as I was going to do when I was going to, Lord's willing, wake up later on in the day, but the Spirit's saying to do it now, so I'll do it now. Now, the first article that we will read is here from the RT, which is entitled UK Urged to Brace for Economic Storm. The Bank of England has issued a bleak economic outlook amid spiraling inflation. This is another in the news edition. The Bank of England, BOE, warned on Tuesday that the economic prospects for Britain have deteriorated since the start of the year, calling on the country's leaders to set aside more capital to observe shocks in the markets. The economic outlook for the UK and globally has deteriorated materially, the BOE said in its financial stability report. The prices of essential goods such as food and energy have risen sharply in the UK and globally, and the outlook for growth has worsened. It added, blaming the crisis on the conflict in Ukraine. According to the statement, the higher prices, you know why this is all happening, but they'll keep using Ukraine as their scapegoat to put all the blame on Ukraine. But we really understand why this is all happening. It's ultimately Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai on the left-hand side through the spiritual demon Satan using these elites to forward the Lord's agenda for his prophecy's sake concerning ultimately the mandation of the MOTB, which is the RFID microchip. And after that has happened, that is when the third world will follow, according to the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 14. So everything that we're seeing right now is a build up to biblical prophecies. Let's not forget Jacob's trouble and the famine of the word. All these things will come to pass. And though they tarry, wait for them, for they shall surely come, they will not tarry. According to the statement, the higher prices, weaker growth, and tighter financial conditions will make it harder for households and businesses to repay or refinance debt. Given this, we expect households and businesses to become more stretched over coming months. They will also be more vulnerable to further shocks, the central bank elaborated. And by the way, expect to see here in the U.S. a much more higher increase in gas prices now that July, the 4th holiday, has concluded. Despite a worsening cost of living crisis, also expect to see coming blackouts during the summer. With inflation heading towards double digits, the regulator expressed confidence that banks were wrestling in debt vulnerabilities among households and businesses. It urged them to ramp up their capital buffer to 2%, meaning they will need an additional $13.2 billion of cash. Meanwhile, the U.S. is sending about $80, $40, $20 billion to the Ukraine, while all this shit is going on domestically and globally. Go figure. It says the outlook is subject to considerable uncertainty, and there are a number of downside risks that could adversely affect UK financial stability, the BOE said. Inflation in Britain is expected to climb to 11%. It's going to go beyond that. Hyperinflation is coming. Later this year, and the central bank's base interest rate could increase to as high as 3% by the end of 2023. And it's going to be way further high than that, economists warn. This concludes the first article. Second article reads, Energy crunch pushing European gas prices higher. The strike in Norway is adding to the Russian supply crisis. Natural gas prices in Europe rose to the highest level in almost 4 months on Tuesday. So the prices of natural gas in Europe rose to the highest level it's ever been in 4 months today, as the continent's energy crisis intensified, yesterday. Benchmark futures tied to TTF, the European wholesale gas price, jumped 8% to over 1,800 per thousand cubic meters, or 175 per megawatt hour in household terms. That is the highest level since the beginning of March and 5 times more than it was this time last year. The prices jumped as oil and gas workers in Norway, Europe's second biggest supplier after Russia, went on strike over pay, according to Reuters. The industrial action could cut the country's gas export by almost 60% over the course of this week. So this will add more pressure to Europe. This comes as uncertainty grows over the gas flow to Europe from Russia. Last month, Gazprom slashed its supply via the Nord Stream pipeline to Germany, citing technical issues stemming from Ukraine-related sanctions. The pipeline is also due to close for its annual 10-day maintenance next week, with many in the EU fearing that the gas flow will not be turned back on, which it more than likely won't. On March 7th, 2 weeks after the start of Russia's military operation in Ukraine, gas prices in Europe reached a historic maximum of 3,900 per thousand cubic meters. This is a stupendous amount. This concludes the second article. And finally, the third article, before we conclude the lesson. EU power prices hit all-time high. And all these things will eventually reach over here in America, Babylon the Great, on a much, much larger and wider scale. So the Lord is having a lot of these things hit Europe, but soon it'll hit over here in a more intensified and wider manner and scale. EU power prices hit all-time high. So not only the gas prices hit all-time highs, but also power prices. Electricity prices have quadrupled due to soaring gas costs, the Financial Times reports. Electricity prices in Europe have hit their highest level on record, the Financial Times reported on Tuesday, citing the rising cost of natural gas amid the uncertainty over Russian supplies. German baseload power for delivery next year, which is the benchmark European price, traded at 325 euros, which is about $334 in the US, per megawatt hour on Monday, thus surpassing the previous record set in December. The newspaper writes, last July, the price stood at just over 81. Wow, that's crazy. That's a stupendous difference per megawatt. So 81 or 83 US dollar per megawatt hour was the price record that was set in December. Now it's over $334. That's pretty friggin' high, man. The equivalent contract in France has doubled to $377 per megawatt hour since the start of the year, the FT adds. Electricity prices are influenced by the cost of natural gas, which is used to generate power. Gas prices in Europe exceeded 1,800 per thousand cubic meters for the first time since early March on Tuesday, as oil and gas workers in Norway have gone on strike over pay, thus affecting output. According to the FT, the situation has been exacerbated by maintenance problems at a large number of France's nuclear plants, due to which neighboring countries have been burning additional gas to generate electricity for the country. Also, the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline between Russia and Germany is scheduled to close for maintenance next week. Moscow already had to reduce the flow via the pipeline by 60% last month over technical issues caused by Western sanctions. But many in the EU fear that after the planned shutdown, the gas flow will not be switched back on. Germany triggered the second stage of its three-level emergency plan last month. The third stage will require the rationing of gas to households and industrial sites. A housing cooperative in Saxony has already reportedly introduced hot water rationing, with similar warnings issued in Hamburg as well. This includes the articles. Now let's go back and read the scriptures and conclude the lesson. This has been another in the news edition of what's going on currently around the world. Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 25, destruction cometh, and they shall see peace, and there shall be none. So miseries and destruction in the forms of Jacob's trouble, which will be comprised of the four kinds which the Lord will appoint over the sinners of his people, would say that the evils shall not overtake nor prevent them, is coming. Okay, and they shall seek peace, right? So when these things come, they're gonna attempt to seek peace, but they won't be able to find it. Why? Because there's not gonna be any, and there shall be none. Mischief shall come upon mischief, right? Men are gonna be invading the homes of one another. Men are gonna be killing each other, raping each other's wives and daughters, even their sons. These are all examples of mischief that shall come upon mischief, misfortune upon misfortune, and rumor shall be upon rumor, bad news after bad news. Then shall they seek a vision of the prophet. Oh, why is all these things happening? Oh, I remember those guys that used to be in the street corners. We gotta go find those guys. They have the answers. Guess what? You won't be able to find the prophets during those times because wit is going to hide herself, roughly paraphrasing the scripture. Then shall they seek a vision, of the prophet. But the law shall perish from the priest and counsel from the ancients. So when they're gonna be desiring to seek the prophets to find out the words of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, to know why all these things are happening when they will be happening, even as they are right now, and they won't be able to, they'll be bugging out. Okay, TD Jakes won't have the answers. Creflo Dollar won't have the answers. Al Sharpton won't have the answers. Farrakhan won't have the answers. So what are you gonna do? Okay, so with that, I'll conclude the lesson. Lord's Young was edifying, straight to the point, informative. This has been another In the News edition. With that, I say shalom to the elect. Lord's willing, until the next.